Welcome to today's Explainer. We're absolutely thrilled to have you here because today we are unpacking an incredibly fascinating story. It's a tale of nation-building, strategic transformation, and true global distinction. We're zeroing in on the 36th East Bengal Regiment, better known as the Dashing Tigers. As you'll see, this is the journey of how a young, post-war infantry unit rapidly evolved into a highly elite mechanized global guardian.
Okay, let's dive into this. The official motto of the East Bengal Regiment is Grace, Strength, Speed. And honestly, this perfectly sets the dynamic tone for the Dashing Tigers. It's not just a catchy slogan, it's literally their operational mandate. This unit is defined by its fierce localized heritage, which is perfectly symbolized by its Royal Bengal Tiger mascot and those crossed traditional Bengali sabers on its emblem. They embody grace, strength, and speed in absolutely everything they do.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the birth of the Dashing Tigers. Then, evolution to mechanized armor. Third, guardians and global peacekeepers. Fourth, the ecosystem of a tiger. And finally, the economics of service. And I want to point out, we aren't just going to cover dry military history today. We're going to map out their complete journey, from their post-war creation right down to the fascinating internal ecosystem and the actual economics that drive these soldiers today.
Section 1. Birth of the Dashing Tigers, the Crucible of Creation.
Now, before we get into the modern heroes, we need to clear up a fun little historical ambiguity you might stumble across. Sometimes people confuse the modern unit with an old colonial-era force. The 1799 British Indian 36th Regiment was a completely separate colonial unit that actually mutinied back in 1857 and was dissolved long ago. Our subject today is the 1977 36th East Bengal Regiment. They are a proud, modern pillar of the Bangladesh Army, born out of the chaotic aftermath of the 1971 Liberation War and the urgent need to expand the young nation's defense beyond the original 8 Senior Tigers battalions.
And the rapid ascent is just brilliant to see. They were officially raised in November 1977 at Bugra Cantonment to fill a huge post-war security vacuum. Fast forward just 2 decades, and they earned their regimental colors for tactical excellence in March 1999. But the absolute institutional pinnacle came in November 2014 when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina personally conferred the national standard to the unit. I mean, going from a fresh post-war infantry battalion in '77 to achieving the military's absolute highest institutional honor in 2014, that is a massive achievement.
Section 2. Evolution to mechanized armor. Transition to the Iron Tigers.
The logic behind this transition is truly fascinating. In their early years, the 36th operated as standard, foot-mobile light infantry. But Army headquarters quickly realized a major tactical flaw. You see, soldiers on foot could be easily bypassed or overwhelmed in central Bangladesh's wide-open riverine deltas and vast floodplains. So, the 36th was chosen for a radical, physical structural experiment. They transitioned into a mechanized force. They traded their marching boots for armored personnel carriers, training relentlessly in high-speed amphibious maneuvers and heavy anti-tank weapon systems. It was a total rewrite of their operational playbook.
To make all that mechanized magic happen, they rely on a pretty rigid British-derived structural hierarchy. A standard mechanized battalion consists of roughly 600 to 800 personnel. It's kind of like a giant puzzle where every piece is absolutely crucial. At the top is the headquarters company, commanded by a lieutenant colonel. They're backed by a support company handling the whole shebang, logistics, signals, and medical needs. The actual fighting force is divided into rifle companies, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. And then you have these highly trained specialist platoons covering everything from anti-tank operations to elite commando reconnaissance.
Section 3. Guardians and Global Peacekeepers, the Global Stage.
Domestically, their role is incredibly critical. They operate out of Shaheed Salauddin Cantonment in Gatail, Tangail, under the 19th Infantry Division. They aren't just sitting around in a base. They are the literal guardians of the Bungo-Bungo Bridge Corridor. This is the primary strategic transport artery linking the northern and western wings of Bangladesh directly to the capital, Dhaka. The terrain there is tough. We're talking dense farmland mixed with unpredictable rivers, and the 36th is specifically optimized to hold and defend it.
But they definitely aren't just a domestic force. When the Bangladesh Army needs to showcase its mechanized mettle in foreign diplomacy, the 36th is often the go-to representational contingent. A perfect example of this is Exercise Sempriti, which is a major bilateral military exercise. Here, the Dashing Tigers run really complex counterterrorism and urban mechanized warfare drills shoulder to shoulder with elite foreign units, like the Indian Army's Rajputana rifles.
It just proves their readiness mirrors top international standards. And this domestic readiness translates directly into their international legacy, the Blue Beret. Entire company columns of the 36th regularly leave the green fields of Tongal for incredibly high-risk UN buffer zones. We're talking about MONUSCO in the Democratic Republic of Congo, UMISS in South Sudan, and UNIFIL in Lebanon. What's truly amazing here is their adaptability. They transition instantly from conventional mechanized warriors to peace enforcers, protecting civilian populations, securing humanitarian corridors, and even building mobile field clinics.
Section 4. The ecosystem of a tiger, anatomy and logistics.
Now, what's really interesting here is that we zoom into the specific, localized ecosystem that physically builds and maintains a dashing tiger. It actually all starts with the uniform, which visually encodes the unit's history and current mission. On state parades, it's all about bright pageantry. You've got the distinct maroon feather hackle in their barrettes, the gold-embroidered 36 EBR flash on the shoulder, scarlet sashes, and polished brass tiger breastplates. But the moment they deploy tactically, it's strict, subdued safety. They shift into pixelated digital camo, stripping away all reflective metal badges in favor of Velcro-backed subdued cloth ranks. And of course, a tiger doesn't operate in a vacuum. The battalion is plugged into a massive, nationwide, corporate-style supply chain for training and logistics. Foundational training happens at the EBRC in Chittagong, famously known as the home of the tigers. Tactical leadership is honed at SI&T in Sylhet. Before a UN mission, they hit BPOT in Rajendapur for intense pre-deployment simulations and foreign language training. And for their gear, state-owned factories in Ghazipur supply their BD-08 assault rifles, ammo, and handle the heavy overhauls of their armored personnel carriers.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this ecosystem extends far beyond just the soldiers. It encompasses their entire family. The military creates a holistic community to minimize domestic disruption, especially during those sudden deployments. Families get free, top-tier medical care at the combined military hospital. Soldiers' children receive priority placement in the cantonment public educational ecosystem. And daily life is supported by the CSD grid, providing heavily subsidized tax-exempt groceries and goods. They really take care of their own.
Section 5. The economics of service, pay scales, and premiums.
So what's the financial reality of serving in this elite unit? Well, at home, the military pay scale maps directly onto the standardized 20-grade Civil National Pay Scale of Bangladesh. Base salaries scaled directly with rank and seniority. A newly enlisted sepoy or rifleman starts in the lower grades, while the commanding lieutenant colonel sits up at grade 4. But you know, in the military, base salary is really just the starting point of the whole economic picture.
Beyond that base pay, the Army provides an array of specialized allowances to ensure optimal physical readiness. Personnel receive free, highly calibrated daily caloric rations. Think lots of rice, meat, and oil. Plus, if you have a specialized skill, like an APC driver or heavy weapons turret operator, you get technical stipends. There are uniform maintenance grants, and incredibly, post-retirement security is handled by the Army Welfare Trust, which provides pensions and even priority job placements in corporate military-run industries.
But get this is the number that literally changes everything. $3,000+. When selected for a UN peacekeeping deployment, personnel receive foreign currency per diems funded directly by the UN. A senior officer can easily draw over $3,000 a month in hazard zones, while even a regular sepoy earns an extra $1,200 to $1,500. This UN premium acts as a massive economic engine, fundamentally changing the financial trajectory for these soldiers' families back home. It's a real game changer.
The journey of the 36th East Bengal Regiment is nothing short of incredible, right? They arose from a chaotic post-war vacuum to become highly specialized mechanized operators and a vital stabilizing force on the global stage. It makes you wonder, as geopolitical landscapes continue to shift, what unseen mechanisms and technological evolutions will shape the next era of international peacekeepers? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.